Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be the start of something new. This is Hollywood Animal, and I have done Hollywood Animal videos in the past. I started a series about a month and a half ago when the game first came out, and I put it on hold because I had read a post that it indicated they were going to change the gameplay kind of significantly, and I was under the impression it was going to be pretty quick. Well, it's been several weeks. There have been no further significant updates in that direction, and I'm kind of tired of waiting. I think this game deserves some attention. It is a fantastic game. I don't know what else to say about it beyond that. I'm going to try to take a different angle from my previous playthrough on this, though. I have learned a lot over the last few weeks of playing it on my own, and I'll be incorporating some of those thoughts in there. And I do have a tips video out there already for brand new starters. Please feel free to take a look at that. This will incorporate many of those tips. In fact, all of them really. That's how I play the game, and I find it very effective. So we're going to start a new game. I am going to go with the no introduction version. That's more of the open sandbox. There is still a little bit of tutorial built into it. There are parts you haven't gotten to yet when you do the introduction where this effectively kicks in. There are a couple of things to know about it. The first 20 minutes of gameplay are a little boring because you don't have anything built that you really need. We can kind of start making movies, but we're better off waiting until we have all the parts that we need first. And that is going to be something we look at and take advantage of with the no introduction. So we'll go ahead and click that and start the game. And I have decided, there's some controversy here on what I'm going to do. I've kind of floated this a little bit, and it's difficult to decide. I've noticed there is no horse logo of any sort. And I get to this guy down here, and my very first impression was, oh, that's a mule. Now, Missouri is known for its mules. We have been known for breeding amazing mules. They're gorgeous animals if you've never seen one. They are a Missouri mule. They're very large. They tend to have very attractive, I guess, features and faces, and very, very consistent fur, things like this. They're very beautiful animals. I often think of, like, in movies, donkeys, are kind of portrayed as mules a lot. They don't look like that. They're actually pretty magnificent beasts, and they are hugely powerful. They're very, very strong animals. Missouri's kind of known for that, and I thought this was a mule. Well, it turns out it's probably a rabbit. Okay, I'm okay with that, but we're going to pretend it's a mule. So this is going to be a mule, and our logo is going to be Stubborn Mule. Whoops, got to spell things right though. Studios. And that is in honor of my home state. So we'll just leave it at that. We're going to have to imagine this is a mule. It does have some features that do look mule-like. Mules have very long ears, actually, very tall ears. And again, the first time I encountered mules, I was 19 years old. What real, honest to goodness, working mules was, I was 19 and just entirely captivated by them. They were beautiful, beautiful animals and just gigantic, way bigger than I ever imagined. Don't have a real strong feel on which of these I should go with. I usually go with Limp and Luke simply because that's the one I had picked the very first time I played the demo. I don't think it makes much difference, except I do like having action movies. So I'll probably just go ahead and take this. I've decided I'm going to go with action, romance, and I think comedy as my first traits once we get the opportunity to pick that. And here we go. And while this is building out, a couple of rules I'm laying down for myself. I am going to try to make sure that the stories the movies that I go with have cohesive story parts. So I am not going to have a fantasy kingdom with a detective and a witch kind of things. I guess maybe a better example, because that isn't completely far off, is it? Better example might be a Wild West genre movie with a witch and a knight. That's not going to be happening. We're going to avoid those kinds of weirdnesses. I'm going to try to do more of the story writing myself, and that's just a matter of really picking the pieces of a story that are going to get written for you. So I'm going to focus more on that. I'm going to custom name my movies, in part because the game doesn't distinguish my movie called Corsair from another studio's movie called Corsair. it tends to have a limited set of names it can pull from. And I ran into one in my personal playthrough where two studios had movies of the same name that were both up for awards. And that was a little confusing. So I'm going to try to name them myself as much as I can. You can change the names of movies at certain points in the game, and I'll probably take advantage of that. But here we are. We're at our new studio. This is Stubborn Mule Studios, and we're going to go ahead and get started. The very first thing I like to do is get in here and set these, what are these researches that need to start happening. And for the PR department, I go with double reputation. Reputation becomes important, and we always want better reputation. So we're going to go ahead and do that upgrade. Currently, whoever our PR guy is, they have a 3% bonus right now. That's not too bad. We're going to take advantage of that. And then we're going to go over to the HR department. I always start with services. There's real good reason that you want to do that. It makes hiring folks cheaper in some ways, and we'll see that play out here soon. Third up is the financial department. Your only option there is the ability to take out $1 million loan, and it takes a half a year. But this guy has 8% bonus in the speed to get this going. So that is important, but we're also going to see that it comes at a cost, and we're going to take care of that cost here in the very, very near future. And then finally, we have the legal department. Again, only option is mid-level legal protection. He has a 5% speed bonus on it, and it's still going to take 3/4 of a year. So there we have those. Then I like to go in and make sure I've got these guys started. I changed my tack on this. I learned that I feel that the better way to go, so these take forever. This is 1,000 days. So think of that as almost 3 years. This one's almost 3 years. This one is the one I used to go with, because what it is you can repair your buildings. And the theory was build buildings cheap and low quality and then hire a repair crew to fix them. Couple of drawbacks to that. Happiness is tied closely to the condition of the buildings people are working in. So a low condition building really drives their happiness down is what all indicators are. So the time it takes to get this guy, which is over a year, you've got a year of people working in substandard conditions, and they don't like that. So I take a different angle on this at this point. And what I'm going to do, instead of going with that, I'm going to go with medium landscape. Medium landscape does take a year to get to, and we're going to speed it up as best we can. In fact, maybe we're going to skip a step here for a second. Craig Mitchell is the head of maintenance. I think we might see if we can hire somebody who's got a little bit better track record with speeding things up than Craig. So let's go ahead and maybe jump over there and do that real quick. But I'm going to go with medium landscaping because this affects everybody's happiness that works with you. And so it takes a year to get it, yes, but once you have it, it's one of those things you don't have to worry about as much anymore. You're not constantly monitoring everybody's happiness because it tends to not go down except for the story points where it tells you this person's happiness is going down. So I find that very useful, and that's my new plan. Instead of going with repair crew, we're going to go with medium landscaping. But first, since we don't have a cash bonus on this and we only have 100 points to spend, we can only speed this up 5% at best, and we spend all of these points. We're going to hold off on that. We're going to see if we can hire somebody other than Craig that has cash bonus, because we don't mind spending some cash to speed these things up right now. So we're going to fire Craig. Sorry, Craig. Seems like he just started. And we're going to see, and we do have one guy. So I didn't even look to see how much he cost us. I probably should have done that first. I would bet he cost a couple of thousand a month. Your heads of department are paid monthly, and this is their salaries. These are the guys we have an option of. Now, this guy, I would normally say he's a really good pick because he's already pretty loyal and happy. This guy, we have to work on it a little bit, but he's much cheaper. He's not much cheaper. He's $200 cheaper, but he does have a cash bonus we can use to speed up building processes and research processes, really. Not so much building, but research. So I am going to go with Wilson. We're going to go ahead and hire him. And then we're going to go back to here, and another way you can get to that research stuff is to click that, and we're going to start that medium landscaping project, and we're going to bump it up 10%. So we will have it in a year. 10% is going to cost us $100,000. Now, this is a flat fee. This is when you speed things up with money, it is $10,000 per 1%. That's what it costs. If this was going to take 30 days, it would be $100,000 to reduce it by 3. If this is going to be 2,000 days, it's $100,000 to reduce it by 200 days. You do want to keep that in mind. Don't use this on everything, but happiness is a pretty important one. I think that the 40 days we get this faster is worth $100,000. So we're going to take that upgrade. Let's see what else. I think we have, is it pre-production, post-production, and distribution. Okay, so 2 more we got to look at. For post-production, I usually go with the film lab first. Basically what you have is during post-production, you have to have an editor work the film and you have a composer that writes music for the film. This is what the editor uses basically, and it allows you to get better quality and cheaper. You also have that opportunity with the sound studio and with the concert hall. So if you think about it, a movie tends to have a background track of music. That's where it's recorded in a concert hall. And then you have the sound studio, which is the sound effects and sometimes voices, things like that. All 3 of them tend to have the same effect. They all have the same amount of time. Oh, they don't actually have the same amount of time, do they? This one's a little faster. I didn't realize that. This one's longer, and this is the one in between. So I normally would go with the faster one first because you get payout a little quicker, but I tend to go with the film lab first. Also, it's going to be a while before we make our first movie. It won't be a year, but this won't be terribly impactful. So we're going to go ahead and go with this guy. Now I'm noticing this guy, he's level 1, no bonuses on anything. Let's see what he's costing us because we're going to replace him too. We want a bonus of some sort on that. And the way you tell how much somebody is costing you is you go into the building and you go to the cost, and his salary is $1,628 a month. So he's not absurdly expensive. We're going to see a few that are absurdly expensive in a minute, but he is worth replacing. So we're going to go ahead and do that, particularly since he has no bonus. And if we end up being wrong and getting a guy who's more expensive with no bonus, well, okay, bad break for us. Most of the time you'll find somebody who's a little bit cheaper and or has bonuses. And in this case, we've got both. Look at this. The better guy to hire, in my opinion, is this guy to begin with. He's a little more expensive than that guy, but he's not quite half of what Craig was, right? But this guy has a 20% cash bonus we can use. So we're going to go with that. As they level up, you get to pick between using influence or cash as their bonus. There's also a flat one, and we'll see that in the near future as well. Probably in another video, though, not just yet today. We're going to hire that guy, and then we are going to immediately use his bonus, I think, to speed up the film lab. Now, I don't need to do it at 20%. That's $200,000, and that's only going to shave 80 days off. I'm not sure that's worth it, but I do think maybe 10%, that might be worth it. And I realize, well, you're still talking about dollars per day. Yes, that is true. The amount of cash this will save us in the long run and the increase in quality, I feel that the sweet spot is around going ahead with that 10%. You can maybe do like 12%. That'd be okay. But I'm going to go with 10%. We're going to shave off 40 days off of the research of this, and I'm happy with that. There we go. And then I think we had distribution. Let's see who we have in distribution. So it is, oops, sorry, we're still on the wrong one. Okay, Louis Zollman. Looks like he's not going to be too expensive. He's level 2, so he should have some sort of bonus there. And he's costing us $2,500 a month. That's kind of high. That's the highest one right now. In the current game I'm playing for myself to kind of just relax and enjoy the game, I think the highest head of department I'm paying is $1,600 a month. So just something to keep in mind. Let's take a look and see what his bonuses are. He has an influence bonus, not a cash bonus. Well, early in the game, we don't have influence. We have cash. We got $7 million to spend. We don't have influence. So unfortunately, and because he is a little expensive, we're going to get rid of Lewis. Have a good one, Lewis. And again, we might have been better off keeping him. We won't know for a minute. We're going to know right now. Well, this guy costs more than him and does have a cash bonus. Costs significantly more. We'll call it $500 a month more. This guy much cheaper, makes me happy about that, but no bonuses at all. Well, bad luck for us. We're not going to get a bonus. I'm not going to pay this guy this much. He's not really worth that, honestly, in my mind. We're going to go with this guy. Also, his happiness and loyalty, a little lower than we'd like. I'd like his happiness to be higher. We can deal with that relatively quickly. We're going to go with Stanley Conti. And I'm wondering, so later in the game, there's a character that comes up whose last name is Conti. I wonder if they're related. I don't think the game is going to take that into consideration though. But here we go. There it is. And then we're going to pick a new research for them. Over here, there is really only one choice. You need to immediately go to marketing and research or outreach, because if you don't, you cannot advertise your movies after the first couple. Advertising is paid for your first movie or two. After that, you have to do it yourself. And if you don't have this department, you can't do it. So the good news is 300 days is just fine. There's actually a build then. You have to build the building. And we'll be okay with that though. So we're gonna go ahead and upgrade this. 300 days is about when we'll be to the point of distributing our first movie. So the timing is okay. And then of course we do have an advertising campaign already paid for that will cover that first movie when we get to it. I would have liked to been able to get a cash bonus for him, but it's okay that we didn't. It will work out. None of these are hugely long processes or projects rather. And that's good. We're going to do marketing and outreach. We will then do theater management because we want to own our own theaters. And there's a really big reason we want to do that. And then we're going to go with analytics and statistics because that really helps us target who we're sending our movies after, who we're trying to get to come to them. Okay, there we go. I think that's the important parts there. We're going to take just a little more time and build the buildings that we can with where we're at. You know what? There is one other thing I want to do real quick though. We're going to get rid of some of this staff because they're expensive. Now, this HR guy actually isn't too bad. $1,500 a month. We're going to hang on to him. But if you look at this, Fred Lawson, our lawyer, is $8,000 a month. Our financial guy is $14,000 a month. $14,000 a month. We are going to be replacing these two for sure. And honestly, I usually go ahead and get rid of Ann too, because I can find somebody for at least half her rate that usually has some good bonuses. Now, the good news here is these researches are already happening. I'm going to hit space for just a second to make that true. We'll get to January 2nd. Now we'll pause again. When I replace these guys, the bonuses stay in place. So I get to use his 8% bonus, even though I'm not going to be paying him anymore. I don't know if that's something they might fix in a future release. I kind of think I would if I were a developer because it's a little gamey, but at the same time, that's how it works right now. So we're going to go with it. We are going to hold on to Enrique. We are going to get rid of Fred. And we are going to get rid of Johnny. But first, we're going to add, I like to fill them in right away so I don't forget. The other thing is you get to name these folks, I think, when you do the intro. When you do start with the intro, you get to name them after your friends or whatever. Be mindful of that because they still cost a lot of money. So there you have it. All right, legal executive. Who can we go with? Well, these guys are pretty expensive too. We have an Enrique already. We got rid of was it Fred? And he was at about 5,000 if I recall. Now I can't even remember. I talked too much. We're going to go with this guy. He has the best loyalty and happiness average. And he is a little more expensive than this guy, but that's the breaks. Yeah. We didn't, we drew a bad hand on this one. That's fine. This one, I can't imagine we can be in worse shape than him. I've never seen a salary that high on any of these guys. So, and once in a while, I will say this, I've seen his salary be in the 20s to start the game. So it is something that should fluctuate a little bit. It is not a fixed number at the start. And as you can see, these guys are much, much cheaper. This guy even has a 3% bonus. Happiness isn't awesome, but he's less than $1,000 a month. That's hard to pass on. I think we're going to take him. We just saved a lot of money every month. There we go. And then finally, I think Ann, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go as well. And who are we going to get to replace Ann? Well, first of all, they're all cheaper than Ann. This guy even has as good of a bonus that Ann had. So, okay, we're good there, but his happiness is tanked. I think we're going to go with this guy. So we're going to save a little money, about $2,500 a month, but he has really good happiness. He does have a 3% bonus. That's good. We're going to stick with him. There we have it. Okay. We have now replaced all of the heads and these are the executives, these four, the ones we just did. These are our executives and we've replaced them with cheaper staff. We did keep one of them. So we're in good shape there. Let's build some buildings. And there are a few buildings. Well, first of all, you really do need to build a script department. There's nothing you can do without a script department. So we're going to put it, I usually put it right about here. And one thing, you have all this space. I don't believe space becomes an issue. I initially, when I was building, I was like trying to squeeze everything in really, really tight. You don't have to do that. In fact, what I've found is even in my fully built out games, I have all this space up here that is unused. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to give them a little bit of room between major departments, and I'm going to put them here. I like to keep scripts here because when you come into the game, it focuses on the headquarters, and I like to be able to at least see it because you do interact with it quite a bit. Here is the building out that I talked about that you want to be mindful of. There are a couple of reasons to build slow. There are a couple of reasons to build cheap. I have found that I prefer to go ahead and just bite the bullet early on, at the very beginning of the game, and I will pay the difference. It takes a little longer, but it will be at 100% condition, and I don't need to worry about it anymore. Script department, we can't start anything until it's built. So we're going to be 72 days in before anything happens in our studio, and that's going to have to be okay. There is an event that comes up where Luxta is going to sue us, saying that we signed a contract with them, and it will be turned into a lawsuit if we don't agree to it. I will not be agreeing to it, I can tell you now. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that is just hard scripted. It's not like a random event or something. It will happen. Some people like to hold off, build slow, wait for the lawsuit to come up, and then try to meet the obligation of what they're saying we have to do with them. I haven't found that to work. It feels like the script fires after I'm to the point where I can meet what they say the obligation is. And I just don't have patience for that. It's a coin flip whether or not I win the lawsuit or not. So I could be throwing $500,000 away by not using them in the long run. But we're going to just go with McBrien and Sons. And there we have it. Too late to do anything about it now. Let's see what else we can build. I think there's a few more buildings. Yep, we can do pre-production. We can do production. And maintenance is built. We can also do engineering. We can also do security. So we can build most of our major divisions right now, and we're going to do that. I like to put pre-production. It tends to need a little more space. There's some things that come up in the game that you're going to build out. I'm going to put him right about here. I do recommend when you've come out with your layout. I mean, I keep it the same from playthrough to playthrough more than anything, so I know where things are. That's really the main reason. And again, we're going to go with McBrien and Sons. The theory, so real quick, the theory on using your repair crew to fix them, if I build with Luxta at 50%, and then I add what the crew is going to cost to fix it up to 100%, it will definitely be cheaper than the $350 I'm going to spend today. So what I'm gambling on is that the happiness penalty between now, when these finish, and when I actually have a repair crew to work it, is not worth the cash savings. That's really what I'm gambling on here. And so that's what I'm going to do. I probably will flirt with a zero balance here, and that is kind of dangerous. You need to be careful there. I will be mindful of that as we move forward, but that's just something to pay attention to and to understand about the mechanics of the game. So we're going to start that one, and when it's built, not right now, but when it finishes construction, we will hire a head for that. So that was pre-prod. Let's do production. Start construction. I like to put that one in this corner. It doesn't need a whole lot of space. We're going to put it right there. And the same process, I'm just building it for all it's worth. These are being built. These are built. The producer's office is one we definitely need. That's how you hire producers, for crying out loud. And I like to put that one kind of here. It is one you interact with very, very little. You can put it anywhere. In fact, maybe for this play, I'm going to put it up here. Give them their own corner of the lot. We'll do that. They can be kind of distant from all the action of the general studio building. Security, I like to put right about here. This is where I was doing my Tetris, where I was trying to fit everything in as tight as I could, and I've just kind of gotten used to it. It does build a few extra buildings, but we won't run into space issues with it, really. And then I think there's, what, 2 more? Yes, we've got maintenance. No, that's already built. I'm sorry, engineering. Engineering's the other one we have to go. And I like to put engineering in this little pocket here. Again, not critical, except what I found is if it's not nearby, I tend to forget that it's not doing something or is doing something, and I forget about it. So I like to have it where when the default screen pops up, which focuses on this building here, it's kind of in eyeshot there. So that's really what I'm going with there. This is one you could potentially take a hit and build cheaper. It's not the worst idea. It is $200,000 to build this version of it. I mean, that's not nothing, right? This building. So the other thing is when you repair a building, it shuts it down while you're repairing it. So like you can't, if you're in pre-production, your pre-production stuff won't happen while the building is being repaired. And it usually only takes a couple of days. That's not a big deal, but sometimes it takes a few weeks. And then all of a sudden, your entire pipeline down here gets backed up. So that's just something to consider. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my plan of building everything at its max. This is the one that I might go cheap on sometimes, but we're just going to go for it. And then I do want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Nope, we're good there. And we're good here. So most of these buildings that say unavailable will become available. I haven't seen a couple of them pop up yet. And then later there will be another tab here. We have kind of, we get to kind of specialize what kind of movies we work in, and we'll get extra buildings we can build, but it's still only a couple handful. It is not something where we are going to be tight for space and trying to squeeze in one more commercial district in the middle of our residence and that kind of stuff. So, all right, we would generally let it rip at this point. I think I'd like to go ahead and stop my video here. We're going to call this the end of episode 1, and we're going to continue with this playthrough, and we're just going to make it more of a playthrough. I'll talk about these points that I think are important as we get to them, but otherwise we're just going to enjoy the game. And I do appreciate you joining me. This is kind of a reboot on this one for me. I just didn't love what I had out there previously, and so we're just going to do a refresh of it and have a good time with it. I appreciate your time, and until next time, fair travels.